Hello and welcome back to Blighty Day Fiancé Sister Blights, the only Sister Wives recap podcast hosted by a married, monogamous, transatlantic, Britain-based couple. My name is Michelle.
My name is Robin, that's R-O-B-I-N. If you spell your name R-O-B-Y-N, your name is Robine.
You might also be in the corner watching you kiss her.
What?
The Robin song, Dancing on My Own.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
in the corner.
God, for a second I thought you were suggesting like that I kiss Robine. Is that a thing for you?
It is not. I don't ever want to see that.
Come at us if you've ever had sex with someone who has the same name as you. Whether you're gay or whether you're gay or straight. I mean, I think it's a better anecdote if you're straight. Right? Alex and Alex, you know?
Sure.
Kim and Kim. Kim can be a boy's name, can't it? I imagine it happens more often for gay people, but just come at us anyway. That sounds like fun. How did it feel to shout out your own name during sex?
I think you've had too much to drink. Thank you all for your patience. We're still recovering from COVID, as you'll hear in the cough. I know coughing is really annoying. That's why I'm trying to measure my speech as much as I possibly can and keeping the cough to a minimum.
Should we have followed the protocols?
The protocols?
Yeah. I think that's what it is. We didn't follow the many Cody protocols, and look where we've ended up.
So I foolishly thought that the funny accent that they all seem to have, where, you know, like real big dill instead of real big deal.
Yeah.
I thought that was unique to the Brown family. Apparently, it's also a Utah thing in general. If you're Utah-based or Utah-adjacent, let us know. Does everyone talk like that, or is it just Whitney on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City? She does a lot of real big deal.
Real big deal.
Yeah, so the way that we cover this, if you're new, just joining, thank you so much. We're so glad you found us. We don't do a beat for beat recap. There are other marvelous podcasts that do. I choose, normally it's 3, sometimes it's 4 themes, and we talk about that in general and how it pertains to that particular episode.
Yeah.
It also works out well because Robin watches this show basically through his phone.
Yeah.
So
hey, those hot UK deals aren't going to buy themselves.
That is true.
I got to add to the cable collection. I actually bought 12 cables this week. I haven't told Michelle. There was an incredible deal.
Those of you who have been listening to us from the beginning will understand that as the ultimate in-joke. In fact, we call the cables Anns, like Anne of Green cables, and recently we're watching The Crown, which we're also recapping, moving into drama. Not saying we're going to do it all the time, but you know, it's a British show that Americans watch, so
it's on brand.
We're into it.
There's a lot of relationship stuff.
We are all over that.
Yeah.
I am now referring to the cables in this house as the Princess Royals.
Because the Anns.
Because Princess Anne is she still the Princess Royal?
I think so.
Yeah.
Is she alive?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
She's a lad, and I love her for it.
I love her too.
She's amazing. We love you, Princess Anne. Thanks for listening.
Come on.
Moving on to a totally different queen, Christine. Ooh.
Oh. Oh.
I'm so sorry. All right. I am going to let you choose which of the
Oh,
three
goodness.
of
Do I get to pull the topics out of a visor? You can put the topics in Cody's visor, could you? Because they don't fall out.
Somebody got a screen grab of the Hair Peninsula.
Ah, it's my hair peninsula. Still no one has picked up on that deep cut.
No, they
People
haven't.
have come at us, and no one's done it yet, but we'll send you a prize if you can identify that oblique pop culture reference.
Yes, and if you're still waiting on the tote bags, I'm afraid the wait is going to be a bit longer, but not as long as it was 2 weeks ago when I first got COVID and realized that I was going to be completely useless.
Yeah, the tote bags were all in Windsor Castle, but tragically they went up in flames. We've just watched episode 4 of The Crown. Don't know what to tell you.
Sure. I've lost that picture of the Hair Peninsula now, which is very unfortunate. But it might have become a hair archipelago at this point.
It's like
because
a hair Cthulhu.
it looks like there's, I know you can't look at me because we're sort of side by side, but it's like there's the frontal fronds.
Yeah.
And then there's a solid strip, almost like as if he had a headband of just bald.
Yeah, it's like a no man's land.
So there's the frontal fronds, then there's bald, and then the peninsula kicks into effect. So we might have to start referring to it as a hair archipelago.
It's like the inner Hebrides and the outer Hebrides. Obscure Scottish island joke.
Be careful, we're not allowed to say anything about Scotland.
Beautiful weather, wonderful people.
Right. So the 3 themes tonight are friendship.
Yeah.
Faith. And family.
Oh, the 3 Fs.
Yep.
Good. Very alliterative of you. Should say at this point, given that we are still both obviously didn't follow the protocols and we're horribly unwell. Protocols. We are
protocols.
Hey, by the way, we're going all over the place today. There's only 2 episodes of The Walking Dead left. And you got to remember how you lost that bet.
Yep, and we're going to be recapping the finale. Not even on our Patreon. It's going to be on the public feed.
When did you last see it? I mean, we'll get to this in the thing, but a long time ago. It's going to be a complete car crash.
I haven't watched it in like 5 years.
The whole show is a car crash. So there you go.
One thing I'm not going to do is ask questions. And that's what I'm so excited about, because I'm going to go into it completely blind. And I'm going to be like, obviously, I'm going to recognize.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be good. Anyway, I can't.
Wait, Michonne died?
No, I'm not saying that.
Oh, okay.
Right, 3 Fs. I don't know. Let's go for Faith.
Okay, so in this episode, pardon me, Cody says Christine surprise divorced him. Rabine says
she snuck up behind him and divorced him.
Stealth divorce.
Yeah.
Rabine says they're supposed to get approval from the church before ending the marriages. And Christine says neither she nor Cody are part of that religion, so it shouldn't matter.
I think
whether she got permission or not.
Everyone should get permission from every church, even the ones you're no longer a member of, before doing anything.
Rabine reached a new level of audacity this week. She stuck her not insubstantial neck out a little too far.
Wow.
We have a saying here in England, wind your neck in.
Yeah, brass
right?
neck.
Wind your neck in, mind your business,
Yeah.
right? Now, a divorce that happens between 5 people has got to be confusing.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting the different perspectives
Yeah.
that each of the sister wives has on this. I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised that Janelle stuck up for Christine.
Janelle's becoming my favorite. I mean, look, Christine's my favorite. She's a queen, but Janelle is kind and thoughtful. I didn't think she would be, but she is.
She's kind and thoughtful, and she was not what my friend and your friend Elliot would call a split the difference, see you next Tuesday. She's not, hedging, right? She's firmly like,
I mean, she does say at one point, I don't know what to say about, I think that was Janelle, wasn't it? But yeah, the easy thing to do would be, how I'm not the first to make this point, and I don't want to be political, but the whole fair and balanced thing where you give equal airtime to opposing
Sure.
points of view, even if the other point of view is batshit crazy and provably false or erroneous.
hey, they're alternative facts, Robin.
Yeah. but that's the world we live in, right? The people go, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's like, well, don't misunderstand the phrase everyone's entitled to their opinion. What that means is you can think what you want, but what it also means is you will then be judged according to what you think, right? So just because it's your opinion doesn't make it as right or as valid as another person's opinion. You can, believe it or not, have bullshit opinions. That is possible.
You can have uninformed opinions.
Yeah.
Your opinion can carry less weight than another person's opinion, particularly where personal relationships are concerned. Because guess what? No matter, unless you're in some kind of triumvirate scenario, which I have absolutely no idea how anyone does that. I'm not saying
I mean, this is a quinumvirate.
I don't believe people do it, but I could never be polyamorous. I'm exhausted by most people in general, and that's not a snobbishness thing. That's probably an autism thing. It could just be a highly sensitive person thing. I can barely be in a relationship with one person, let alone multiple relationships with multiple people. Now, one thing that I will say is there was a time in our lives when Robin's ex-wife and I were very close. We were really good friends, right? And things happen, and we've started to rebuild in a different way. And that's fine. I'm accepting of where we are. Now, one thing I have never done or said is that her perspective on her own relationship with Robin is wrong or uninformed or a lie.
Okay.
Yeah, because her relationship with you, according to her, is its own thing.
Yeah.
I might have my own opinions about some of the stories that she tells, or having heard both sides of certain incidents. I mean, use your imagination, people, right? Like, But never in my life would I ever tell her that she remembered something wrong. You know why? Because I wasn't there. And
Sure.
even though I know you and I know who you are and I can make a reasonable guess
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
to,
I can't be
yeah,
doing with that. When people take someone's side just because they're always on their side, and go, oh, he couldn't do that. Well, you don't know. I imagine someone that's there is more likely to know than me if I'm not there. Doesn't mean that they saw it clearly, right? So,
right,
but what you can't do, I get, I think what you're saying, which is you can't question their belief in their belief, right?
right.
Right.
And moreover, it's not even about questioning the belief in the belief. It's it's this revising, and boy, does this happen in every family, or does it not? This revision of history, right? Like, not to poke at a raw nerve, but you have a family member who insists that certain things in the past happened one way,
Hmm.
and you experienced it very differently. And
Yeah.
that family member of yours uh, cannot, will not
Incapable.
even
Incapable.
consider
No.
a different perspective on those events.
Right.
So it's interesting how in this family you have basically Mary and Robin, who seem to remember things one way.
You were happy. I mean, it's so egregious, isn't it? To
It is.
tell someone else that it was fine. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, wow. Wow, you never had any problems. No, I maybe just didn't tell you about it. Or maybe I hid it, or maybe I was ashamed, or maybe you were really imperceptive and dumb.
Yeah. Or maybe you were so far up your own ass, you never even thought to ask me how I was.
Yeah, or
Right?
maybe you were so terrified that there could be a fly in the soup, and like had to convince yourself that everything's perfect all the time, or God forbid, you might actually question your own relationship and marriage. That's probably what went on, right?
So there is a common understanding of who Robine is as a person, right? It- and it's this sort of Lady Macbeth type figure where she's
Hmm.
dreaming and scheming, and she's kind of
Plotting
like
and rotting,
right, some kind of just sitting there, evil genius. I don't think that
twiddling her eyebrows.
that's right.
Yeah.
I don't think that pardon me, Robine. I don't think that Robine is even remotely an evil genius who has been plotting this all along.
No, me neither.
Um I think that she is so manipulative that she doesn't even understand how manipulative she is, because for
Well, I think she
her,
manipulates herself.
well, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think she convinces
Yeah.
herself. So one of the times, one of the times that I was hospitalized for depression, we talked about, or one of the counselors there talked about uh, things that we do to aggravate ourselves, right? So, in other words, we can tell ourselves stories, or talk to ourselves in a certain way that will make us feel worse, right? I think we've all done it.
Hmm.
Particularly when, we make a mistake. If we're very harsh on ourselves, we can be our own worst enemies, right? I think Robin tells herself a story about a beautiful young woman
Hmm.
who had her pick of second marriages into polygamous families, and was the belle of the ball, and uh, you know was running up that hill, wishing that she could make a deal with God, and
Well, she did. She married him.
I think she sees herself as someone who was sold a fairy tale and sold an
Yeah,
ideal,
yeah.
and she didn't get it.
Hey, one of the problems with the phrase sister wife, I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about role and function, and there is something. Oh, a little nose blow here. Can I explain all the noises off? I know
I'm really sorry.
that's okay. I was going to do it before, and then I got distracted. But if you can hear snoring, it's the French bulldog. Um,
If
when
you hear barking, it's the pug.
it's the pug. She's not happy. Someone spoke about half a mile away, and that is unacceptable. And in my case, what I'm using for a mic stand has now fallen
It's on top of you.
onto my chest as I'm lying in my COVID bubble here. So this whole thing's completely chaotic. Anyway, what was I going to say? The noun sister wife, it's a big thing and it's all encompassing, but it carries so much image with it, so much dogma, so much protocol, and all of that stuff that you don't actually think that behind the term sister wife is a person, and behind the term sister wife is yet another person and yet another person, right? They're all just sister wife A, sister wife B, sister wife C. And so Rabaim, when she marries into this family, she's like, I'm going to be a sister wife, right?
Yep.
Which means that Christine is a sister wife, so she's another me, which means that Mary is another me, which means that Janelle is another me. And I think that's her attitude. And I'm not actually trying to be glib, really. I just think she imagined that there would be a whole bunch of her and people that thought the same way as her and did the same things as her and wanted the same things and acted the same way, right? Because they all have the same title, sister wife. Like you would expect when you, I don't know, go to Buckingham Palace and look at one of those soldiers in the hats or whatever. You don't think, well, that's Dave and that's Pete and that's Brian. They're all the same guy, right? They all look the same. They've all got the same job. They're wearing the same uniform. And so there's something about that term, sister wife, that sort of obliterates the individuality, I think.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because when you compare that to, say, seeking sister wife, any of the relationships on there.
Mm.
Now, again, full disclosure, this is Robin's first season of Sister Wives. It's my second one. I've gone back into the archives here and there to kind of, look at some of the highlights. But I have
The
not watched
Snarchives,
this
as we call
the
them.
Snarchives. I haven't, watched it all faithfully like many of you have. So, if you think we're being way off base, always come at us on social media at Blighty Day, BLIGHTYDAY.
Or at Elon Musk.
Don't please keep his name out
come
of
at him.
this is my safe space, Robin.
Yeah.
I don't want him here.
Yeah.
When you consider like how those relationships are viewed, like you think about, okay, like Mr. Peanut and his wives,
Yeah.
they're all providers, right? They're all working.
Mhm.
The income
Yeah, and they're interchangeable too.
is kind of in it. Yeah, I think, well, one of them seems to be a lot more
Is it India?
downtrodden than the other one.
Yeah, one of those a bit angry. But the same thing applies though. They all play a kind of similar role because this entire
No,
culture is built on archetypes.
I'm saying can I finish what I was
Alright,
saying?
yeah.
Sorry. I know I'm
That's all right.
going off on tangents. Also, I wouldn't say India is angrier. I would say India has
Oh no, less patient with his bullshit.
greater self-worth. Yes.
Yeah.
So with the Merrifields, for example, their sister wife Garrick is not looking for another Danielle. He's not looking for another Weepin' Willow um, blonde, however
Sure.
Danielle identifies. He wants, apparently someone who doesn't speak English. And from what was described when they were dating, um, that other woman, not Roberta, um, is sort of somebody to do the housework, basically. Like it
Well,
basically sounds like he wants a housekeeper he can have sex with.
no, but this is okay. Let me be clear about this. From the male point of view, the whole point of multiple sister wives is so that you can get lots and lots of, forgive the phrase, strange pussy, right?
Oh my god.
But that's what it is. You want to have sex with lots of different people, I'm pretty sure. Sorry, not going to apologize for that opinion. But from the sister wives' point of view, they do expect the other wives to be just like them.
I don't think it's a just like them
The Danielle thing's a
thing.
great example. She expected Roberta to see the world exactly like her and just couldn't understand
Yeah,
when things
that
were.
is true.
And they all do that.
It
They
did
all
it
do that.
did break her brain. I
All the wives expect all the other wives to be absolutely like them.
I don't think that's true, and here is why. So I think with Seeking Sister Wives, all of those women, the first wife women want a best friend, right? Or if you're Brenda, you just want a
A
friend,
friend, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um with the Brown family, we have, Mary is wife number 1. Now Mary likes things a certain way.
Hmm.
Um Janelle, much more easygoing. Those two needed a Christine to be a peacemaker. Um, she was more, and forgive me because I know this sounds ridiculous, but she was sort of more traditionally domestic, I guess, than either Janelle or Mary. Janelle was another provider. In my humble opinion, Janelle is the happiest because she wasn't a wife. She got to be, for all intents and purposes, a husband,
Right.
right? She got to have a career and an identity outside of the home.
Right.
Christine did not get that. Mary didn't get that. Um, Janelle did, and Robin has, I guess. Sorry, Robine. But do you get what I'm saying? They for the
Okay.
time that they were raising
I
young
I hear
children.
you. That all right. They all, of course, they all have roles, but
Yes.
I guess what I'm saying is they all expect the others to have the same perspective on things, and I know everyone does, but it's something about them sharing that title that psychologically in the background of their heads also confers a kind of element of, not only do we share that title, but because we share that title, we must also share exactly the same perspective on something. And their heads explode when it turns out they don't. That's all I'm saying, I guess.
I would say that about Mary and Robine. I would say Christine and Janelle are
Right.
empathetic almost to their own detriment,
Now,
empathetic in the extreme.
how is this faith? Because I feel like we wandered.
It wasn't faith. This
Oh.
was, oh no, it was. Because we were talking about leaving the faith and people
Oh, yeah.
needing um permission to go, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's,
Well,
well,
that was.
also this is, faith is one of the pillars of this particular lifestyle,
Right.
right? So what does that, so when you leave the church, or when you're excommunicated, I guess, which was I believe was the case with these folks,
Yeah.
um what keeps you in that relationship? Is it a different kind of faith, right? Is it like, what is keeping Mary in a place where she's considering herself married, but Cody says he's not married to her,
It was incredible.
right?
What an unbelievable bombshell that was. And it's almost like the producers were like pranking her with that cut in. boy, oh boy, how's she going to feel when she watches that? I don't know. I get the feeling that she'll just continue to roll over and kind of take it because she enjoys the martyrdom, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I say this every week, but she lives uh she lives to watch the light escape from Cody's eyes. Um I think Mary is going to outlive everyone.
Yeah,
Um
that I agree with. She's rugged. She looks like she's hewn from one of those mountains.
she does. She
Yeah,
does look roughly hewn.
she does.
Um and what's unbearably sad about Mary is this. I don't think that anyone on television lies to herself the way that Mary does.
I don't know. Or maybe
Except for maybe Cody.
yeah, right. Maybe she's just incredibly honest, though. That's the thing. Like, I don't think she'll ever. I don't know. She is sacrificing her entire life to prove a point, and I do not know what point she's proven.
That she can stick it out.
Great.
That she's better than anybody else.
Great.
That where Christine gave up, she didn't. That she kept the faith, that she never did anything wrong, that every choice that she made was the correct one because it was a faith-based choice.
So just correct me if I'm wrong. We're doing Sister Wives today, right? Not The Crown.
Yeah, but there are parallels, you know.
Oh boy, are there parallels.
And actually, my favorite quote of this episode pertains to faith, but in a very different way to how we've been discussing it.
All right.
Christine said, "I know I'm moving towards something better, and that's enough most of the time." And that got me. That got me, you know, because who among us in this room hasn't left a marriage and had to, I mean, I don't want to make assumptions, but when I left, for me, that had to be enough because that was all I had, you know?
Yeah, for me, it was that or Oblivion,
Right.
you know? So, you were the person who introduced me to The Spiral. And I'm not just talking about the incredible French detective show. Please watch Spiral.
Oh, it's so good.
Or Engrenage.
Engrenage. It's as good as it sounds, y'all.
Oh, that's a show and a half. No, the idea that progress isn't linear. So, or at least it's not monodimensionally linear. So you go in a spiral, right? So you are moving outwards, but sometimes you're going in the opposite direction from the one that you hope to be going in, right?
Yeah, it's like a slinky.
Right.
Stretched out, horizontal, not a down, not like a funnel.
What we're saying is time is a flat circle.
Now we're really bringing it back to the metaphysical.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Sometimes you go backwards to go forwards, but you know, the overall the average speed check, the overall movement is a forwards one, but it doesn't mean there aren't setbacks. And I think as long as there is, I mean, that's what hope is, right? So as long as, and faith. So you have faith that things will get better incrementally, slowly, in a weird way, with pain, but all in all for the best, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the opposing attitude, and I'd say the one of someone like Mary, is one of entropy. I think that she believes in that everything tends to chaos, right? Unless you keep a grip, everything just goes to shit.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So those two very contrasting sort of viewpoints, one of faith that eventually things will improve, and one of entropy where eventually everything's fucked.
Right. And if you're going to go down, you're going to take everybody with you.
Might as well, because we're all just dust. I mean, that's Mary. Like, she is incredibly nihilistic. There's no sense in which she wants to keep this together for like a higher purpose. Particularly, she's just staving off the dark.
Yeah, I can see that. Um, I mean, I think what she and Rabine have in common is this relentless, and here's another parallel to the crown, right? This relentless insistence that we have to go back to some golden era,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And that despite the fact that the world is changing and people change and not all change is bad,
Hmm.
we have to regard change with suspicion and upset. And I'm, not to make this super personal, but like my life has been our lives has been we've had some devastating changes in the past 2 years, I would say.
Mm.
Um, and not a minute of it has been easy.
No.
Not 1 minute. Now, have we had good times? Of course we have. I wouldn't give any of those back, in exchange for having an easier ride. But ultimately, what I know in my heart is that you and I are growing together, right? We're not growing apart.
Right.
We're different people to who we were 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm proud of who we are, and I'm proud of who we are as a couple doing doing this podcast with a snoring bulldog underscoring the currents. But this idea that they were, and this brings us neatly to the next topic. This idea that they were uh, some emblem, like this golden family
Yeah.
of polygamy,
Well,
right?
they got excommunicated, so they were no longer like advocates for their church, right? So
Hmm.
I guess Cody had to seize on something that he could be like the poster boy for. Um, and I guess it wasn't going to be hair replacement therapy, so it had to be kind of the successful polygamist experiment, right?
No, I mean, and he's a failed priest in the same
Yeah.
way that, what now look, there's no spoilers on The Crown because it's still 1992, up to where we've watched at least, right? And if you weren't there, that's your business. But basically, you know, the queen is watching all of her children's and other family marriages falling apart, right? Or in some state of disrepair.
Hmm.
Either it's over or it's about to be over, right? And she's like, well, and not everybody, maybe y'all don't know this, but the queen or the king now is the head of the Church of England, right? So, like, higher than any priest or bishop or any other figure, next closest person to God, right? So the sovereign in this country actually has a weird sort of apotheosis happening, right? Where they're actually uh, a figure that's close to God, that
Does this remind
transcends.
you of anyone?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And and that is who.
Always be very afraid of anyone that says that what they want is what God wants.
Oh, yeah, really.
How do you know? And hmm, we'll cover this more in our, our crown coverage, I think. But you watch all these marriages fall apart and these people, and yet they're supposed to stay because it's their duty, because it's what God wants, because of all of these things. And what I constantly come back to, and again we'll cover this when we do the crown, is who says it's what God wants? Some guy thousands of years ago wrote it down because it was convenient for them at the time. And I think even people of faith would agree that What we use for religions and for faith are, man-made interpretations in the books. Some people, and they're really far out to the sides in their zealotry, believe that every word in the Bible is, sent by God. But the majority of people understand that there are human perspectives and stuff in here, and these things are largely about interpretation. And it has to be that way because you have so many sects and subdivisions that all disagree with each other. And either the vast majority of them are completely full of shit, or they're all a bit right. But because they're all a bit right, and this is, the charitable view, you might say they're all completely wrong. But because they're all a bit right, it means that you can't say ever that something has to be a certain way. You just can't do that. And it's the same with Cody. You can't say that a marriage has to work in this way. It's the same with Mary and with Rabine. You can't say that Christine was happy in Vegas. You can't mandate these things because there is no true word of God.
I think it must be, and just going from the moderate amount that I know about Mormonism, right, or any religion that sort of regards its holy book as a literal article, right?
Yeah.
As an article of fact.
Yeah.
The Mormon Church regards the Book of Mormon as an historical artifact, a real historical artifact, as real as the cave drawings at Lascaux, right? Like this
Sure.
actually happened and it wasn't somebody who made it up. And I don't mean to single out Mormonism. It's the closest one to this, but really any religion that relies on its members following these expressly stated roles and ideologies. Like in Orthodox Judaism, for example, there's rules about which shoe you tie first, how you wash your hands before you eat. These things are circumscribed to stop people from having any doubts that might lead them to question these practices, that might lead them to look for something outside of it, because the survival of these belief systems relies on people not questioning it.
Complete buy. But those things had a basis once. This is the crazy thing. When they were written, these rules and regs, they tended to make a lot more sense. I mean, take kosher laws, right? There were really good reasons not to eat certain things like 3, 4, 5,000 years ago. Those rules don't apply anymore because farming methods are completely different and hygiene is completely different. So you may still mark those things like respectfully out of like a kind of homage to the past. And I've got some time for that, I suppose. But to say that these things are like set in stone and the will of God, that then suggests that God existed for a brief window of time 4,000 or 5,000 years ago and God doesn't exist now. Because if you ask God now, he'd be like, no, that's complete nonsense. Of course you can turn a light switch on Saturday,
Well, you say that, and I hear that argument, and the place for religion in the modern world is that it is a type of particularly stricter religions, right? It's a type of absolutism that doesn't exist anymore, right? Before
it's a lot harder.
Yeah, before the information age, there was just all mystery, and people had to live a certain way to survive. And I can totally see, and the older I get, the more I feel this way. I can totally see how attractive it might be to join a commune and live simply and just cut the noise from your life completely.
Seems
right?
like a good life.
Yeah, and religion is one way of doing that.
Yep.
So
please don't interpret any of what we say as being like, and I'm not only not anti any specific religion really, I'm certainly not anti all religion. If anything, I'm envious of people of faith. Because I ain't really got any, and I think it might be quite nice.
but you can borrow some of mine now and then when you need.
Yeah, but yours is all sort of weird potions and crystals and shit.
No, it isn't. That's silly.
You gave me a wand early into our relationship. I still have it, and I sort of treasure it.
I gave you a wand?
Yeah,
Did I?
yeah.
I thought I gave you a crystal.
I thought it was a wand.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, a crystal can be a wand.
I thought it was both.
Look, I'm into crystals. I don't believe that crystals are the answers to everything. We don't have to. The last thing anyone needs is for another straight white woman to be talking about what crystals mean to her. Okay, so let's put that aside. I am a woman of faith. I think my faith is complicated. But I am a curious person who asks lots of questions.
Yeah, you enjoy the journey.
I do. Right. And I do believe in God. Maybe not every person's understanding of what that is. Anyway, this doesn't matter. This is nobody cares. The next thing, the final F, because we've done family and faith, is friendship. And I want to talk about Mary's best friend, Jen.
Oh.
And how I have never seen Mary smile the way she does.
Mary!
When she's in the presence of Jen, or Jana, as Cody refers to her.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a thing, right? It's a thing. Mary was actually Mary, and it blew my mind. Where is the real Mary, and what have you done with her?
I thought this story was remarkable. I thought it was the fact that Jen left her family,
Yep,
and came to stay with Mary when she needed it. And I'm paraphrasing here, but Mary said that Jen was the only person in that dark period of her life when she was catfished that made her feel like she mattered.
but the interesting thing is she left her family. Did she leave her family, or did she take absence of her family? Like
no, I mean, she was like, "I'll be back in 2 weeks. Mary
she didn't
needs me."
actually leave, because now she's like running the B&B.
No, she took her family with her to the Mayor B&B. Yeah.
Oh, fine. Okay. All right. Because otherwise that would be quite hypocritical.
You guys, I have, and I don't think I'm alone in this, I have long suspected that Mary might crave the intimate touch of another woman. And I am shipping Mary, her best friend Jen, and the ghost that sits in the ugly chair
that's
at the
Cody.
Airbnb.
I mean, we established that, didn't we?
No, I think that ghost
future
is there.
Cody.
I think she shows up. It could be future Cody. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know about future ghosts.
Anyone watching The Devil's Hour?
Watch it. It's on Prime.
It's on Prime, at least in this country. It's awfully good. But yeah, I think it's just Cody existing in another time, haunting the chair. It's a working theory.
Another, excuse me, I mean, this show is always about relationships, right? And what is friendship but a relationship?
I like the peripheral characters, though. I want more of that.
Yeah, I don't know about Cody's one friend who's willing to appear on camera with him. I don't really need to know any more about his life. He's not particularly interesting.
No, but he's always going to have dick friends, isn't he? Because he's a dick. But it's a bit like in 90 Day. I quite like, like the earlier sort of stages of 90 Day where sometimes you get the great kind of the friends, and sometimes once a season, a star, right?
Yes, every now and then you will get like really all of Debbie's friends are like that.
They're good.
They light up the screen.
Yeah, but this one did that, didn't she?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of, because this show does run the risk of being quite repetitive. It's glacial, right? Things move slowly, except Christine, it turns out.
Yeah. I mean, she sold her bedroom set.
She did. Who bought that on
shifting things
eBay?
around. Oh my God.
One bed, hardly used.
I mean, I completely get that. Like when I got divorced, I mean, I had to get rid of my bed.
Right.
That was the first thing that had to go.
Burn it.
Cody supports the friendship as well, although he doesn't know that Jana, who I guess is Jen, gives Mary good advice. That was kind of sometimes I feel like he is just unnecessary. Like he just can't say anything nice about Mary.
No, he hates her.
I mean, I guess he hates her less than he hates Christine.
Yeah, but he's got the ick on her. Do you know what I mean? It's a done deal.
I think
like I said before, it's remarkable to hear him just come out and say that.
I also think that Cody is, that type of man who the minute he doesn't find a woman attractive, he's disgusted by her,
yeah.
and she shouldn't exist.
Well, I think he finds all women disgusting, really, unless they're kind of, slavishly devoted to him. But yes, I think in principle, women are a bit disgusting to Cody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, truly pivoting to, sweet little
God, I love that kid.
Innocents with their entire lives ahead of them. She says she's going to miss her sister, Isabel, but it's okay because she's happy. Y'all, truly is an example.
She ain't no daughter of her father.
Truly is an example to us all. I mean, when I say, and I know that that's a controversial stance. I know some people are irritated by her, but I believed her. You should want other people to be happy.
I mean, to be fair, she said that after suffering like quite significant concussion from all the luggage falling on her head for 10 days in the car.
I think that she had a straw through which
she could breathe.
McFlurries were delivered, were siphoned into the back seat to keep her quiet during that time. Because, and those of you who have children know, like, can you imagine Alfie on the road for that period of time? God. I mean, he gets twitchy after 15 minutes.
If I did a road trip that length with Alfie, I would have to hire like a limousine. With those like privacy screens?
Yes.
You press the button and shut the fuck up.
And he would still be talking.
I just see in the rearview mirror this mouth chittering away.
Everybody tells me, and I do think about this, like Alfie's very tall for his age, and people always think he's older, and he's only 10. And I love that he still cuddles with me on the sofa every now and then. It's becoming more rare these days, and I know that I am going to miss it when he doesn't want to spend every waking moment next to me telling me about what's happening on the TV as though he has to audio describe all the action to me. I know I'm going to miss that one day, but and this might be an autism thing or just a mom thing. I really want to miss that a little bit. Just the amount of conversation and the volume.
It's like, we know, we're watching, we know. Having said that, look at us now. Look at what we're doing right now. We've just saved our chittering for later, haven't we?
I know. No, I love him so much, but to me that says everything. I mean, that says everything about Christine as a person.
Yeah.
And I will further say that she later says she knows and has a clear conscience that she couldn't stay married to someone who broke her kids' hearts. And
Yeah.
she had to stand with them. And the number of times that I have, you know, given Christine a standing ovation right from our living room, and just stood up and cheered, because the thing that I love about this show is sometimes I'm in a bad mood after I watch it because I just really dislike Cody. Um, but there are moments like that, and
There
and
are.
when she talks about moving towards something better and that being enough most of the time, and just the radical honesty in all of this, it's a
It's raw.
privilege.
It's good shit. It really is. And yeah, yeah. Once again, I repeat the mantra: don't stay together for the kids, break up for the kids.
Yeah.
If it's the right thing to do, break up for the kids.
And I know that we haven't devoted a lot of airtime to the things that Robine did or didn't say, and the whole, like, you guys,
Eh.
I don't have the bandwidth for it. I can't talk about it.
Well, we did, in the sense that we were talking about the complete lack of understanding that someone's perspective
I
might
here
not be yours.
Here's the thing. I really don't think that she thinks that she's lying when
No.
she says that. I think that is genuinely what she believes.
I called it before. I'm doubling down. There will be a redemption arc for Rabine. The scales will fall from her eyes, or maybe just her eyebrows.
Now, that is faith that I don't have, because I think that she is a very simple woman. I think she's probably
How dare you? I can't. The cover. The cover means I can do no voices.
No, I think she is a simple woman with ideas well above her her intellect.
But below her hair.
But yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
I don't want to give her any more airtime than is strictly necessary. Now, one more thing I want to address before we close, is that I don't think Janelle, and I may have said this last week, forgive me if I say the same thing week after, I don't think Janelle is ever going to leave him, and I think we all need to be okay with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, Janelle's made her choice. She's not going anywhere. She's a creature of habit. Janelle doesn't like change.
Janelle can find new ways of living
Yes.
in the same place. So some people need to move house. Some people are happy just to rearrange the furniture. And I think Janelle's a furniture shifter.
I think that's an excellent way of putting it.
Yeah.
And she is literally a furniture shifter, because they, like us, have moved pretty constantly over the last 4 years or so.
Well, all it's going to take is one flood at Coyote Pass and she'll be moving again.
God
Down the
bless.
slope into the ditch. Oh, well.
Any other thoughts?
Not really. Other than I like to think of us all as a family when we watch this show. There is something about it that feels strangely communal, like everyone sort of peers in together. And it's nice to know you guys are all watching. Do come at us with your thoughts. It's possible we got all of this wrong, and I would like another perspective, unlike Rabine
Yes,
and Mary.
I'm open to that. I would also encourage you, if you liked what you heard here today, have a butcher's hook at have a look. It's Cockney rhyming slang for you, at our Patreon, patreon.com/Blighty Day fiance. I
No,
think. Is it just Blighty Day?
I
Yeah.
think it's just Blighty Day.
Okay.
We've just wrapped up Love is Blight there.
Yep. So our coverage of Love is Blind at the $5 tier, you get an extra episode every week, and 10 and above, you get Royal Tea, which has already been a smashing success, where I basically talk about the skeevy sex lives of the royals in England. That's been really fun. You at the top tier can get a mention in at the end of the podcast or the beginning.
You can come and hang out in our Discord channel. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, $5 you get the Discord channel as well.
So many perks.
Yeah. Lots of perks. YouTube lives at the top level.
Oh, random moments of kindness and surprise. So patreon.com/blightyday, I believe. If it's Blighty Day Fiance, it's because we're a couple of COVID adult idiots and we can't remember our own links.
Can I give Inky the mic just so that people can
Go on,
hear him?
We did this once before. I don't know if we've done it on a public feed. So
yeah.
Just so you can all hear what we've had to listen to while we've recorded this.
Okay.
It's very soothing. This is your
ASMR.
So yeah, this is your moment of zen. And that is Inky's way of saying,
see you soon.